Great Lakes Prepping here. There's a million things you could spend your money on when you're preparing for the worst. But somebody asked me recently what would be my list of top 10 prepping purchases. Now, there's no way to answer that question without framing it within some kind of parameter. If you're talking about becoming prepared for a truly long-term, end of society type of scenario, well, there's no way to cover that in a short top 10 list. We're talking about establishing a homestead and just a massive undertaking that can't possibly be covered in a short video. So let's talk about my top 10 prepping purchases within the context of short to medium term disaster preparedness. So, number one, and mind you, these are in no particular order, but maybe they're in sort of an order. I don't know. I'll think about it as I go. Number one, a gas generator. The power goes out. I can run everything in my house pretty much off of my generator. I can keep my fridge going. I can keep my sump pump operating. If it's the wintertime, I can keep my furnace cranking. So, a gas generator in well-maintained working order, and a means to hook it up to the circuitry in your house. And, of course, to go along with that, some cans of gas. Number two, water barrels. It doesn't have to be barrels. It could be some other kind of, BPA-free, food-safe water storage containers. I happen to like 55-gallon barrels. I have a few of them. Why is this on my list? Well, you can't do much without water. Once you've got heat and power covered, water should probably be pretty high up there on your list. You need water for drinking, cooking, sanitation, you name it. So clean, potable water, stored, ready to go, as much as you can fit in your home or wherever you live. Number three, extra food. Water's important, shelter's important. The next thing you need is food. If you can't get to a store, you can't get to a restaurant, you can't order pizza, you're going to wish you had food here. It goes without saying. It's the topic of probably half of the prepping videos ever made. Canned food, freeze-dried food, non-perishable is ideal. Enough to last you, as long as you can manage. However much food you can store in your house, you should do that. Number four, I'll just call it medical supplies. This would include first aid kit, preferably a trauma kit or something with pretty much everything you could need in there, well within reason of what an individual might be able to use. That could include tourniquets, wound dressings, burn creams, all that sort of stuff. But also, I'm going to include in this one any prescription medications that you take. Now, again, in a long-term situation, if you rely on prescription meds, you're going to have a whole different set of problems to worry about. But short-term, medium-term, if you can stockpile any of your prescription medications, you should do that. Sometimes I've heard people can just ask their doctor, can I get a couple more months of this just in case? Some people say they lost it. So, it fell out of their pocket somewhere. They have no idea where it went. Can I get a replacement? If that happens, you're probably going to have to pay for it out of your own pocket rather than relying on your insurance, because they're not going to give you any more money than they feel obligated to. But try to have as much of a backlog of prescription meds as you can, on top of having a good first aid kit and any type of over-the-counter medicine that you could foreseeably need. Number five, and 5 and 6 go kind of into the food category, but I'll list them separately because I use them an awfully lot. Number 5 is a vacuum sealer. I have a food saver vacuum sealer with a jar attachment. This lets me dry seal all types of dried foods, vegetables, grains, rice, beans, spices, flour, sugar, salt, you name it. As long as it's dry, You can seal it in a mason jar with a vacuum sealer. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've probably come across one where I'm vacuum sealing something with my food saver. I was going to make this a separate number, but I'll just group it in with the vacuum sealer. Mason jars. Obviously great for dry sealing things. Also, exactly what you need for pressure canning or hot water bath canning. Pickling, tomatoes, vegetables, stews, anything that you can seal to use later. Pretty much going to need mason jars for that. I have more mason jars than I can count. Last time I counted, I don't even remember how many I had. Hundreds. So vacuum sealer and mason jars. Number 6, the food dehydrator. I have a really nice Excalibur dehydrator. Again, you may have seen it in some of my other videos. It really makes a great work out of any type of vegetables, a lot of fruits. I've made beef jerky with it. The thing's awesome. I have tons and tons of dehydrated vegetables in my pantry right now from that machine. Number 7, pocket knife or some kind of reliable quality cutting instrument. My personal favorite knife is a Kershaw Blur folding knife. It works for 90% of the things that I really need a knife for. Obviously, if I can choose, I'll use a kitchen knife for cooking, and I'll use a fillet knife for filleting, and I'll use whatever knife for whatever purpose. But if I can only pick one knife to have for the rest of my life, I do believe it would be my Kershaw Blur folding knife. So whatever your favorite knife is, consider that in the top 10 list. Number 8, really good flashlight. Probably goes without saying. Good flashlight and good batteries to go with it. It's my opinion that having a couple of really good bright flashlights is better than having 50 cheapo, crappy disposable ones. As long as you take good care of it, keep good batteries on hand, a great flashlight could literally be a lifesaver. It should go with you everywhere. It should be in your vehicle or in your bag or otherwise on you at all times. Number 9, some kind of solar charger. In a short or medium term scenario, it's entirely possible or probable that we're still going to have things like wireless service or internet service to some capacity. You might have various devices that recharge with USB. Of course, your phone, tablets, all sorts of equipment. I can charge this camera I'm talking to you right now with USB. My Baofeng ham radio can charge it with USB. So it's very important. If you have absolutely no electricity, your generator's out of gas, your car battery's dead, you need to charge your devices. A solar charger of some sort is a great idea. I have a small sort of portable, foldable solar panel that charges USB devices. But if you've seen my backup sump pump video, you've seen my much more elaborate solar charging system where I've got basically an entire unit and a solar panel outside that charges a car battery, and I've attached some various ports on that, such as USB port and a car lighter outlet. I can charge any device I have quite nicely off of that setup. But you don't have to go that elaborate. Just have some means to charge your devices because communication is key, and if there's still a network, you'd be crazy not to have a means to use it. And number 10, and again, these aren't in any particular order. I'm sure a lot of people would say that my number 10 should be way higher up the list, and maybe it should. But number 10 is one or more firearms. I don't talk extensively on this channel about guns because there's a lot of other resources out there that can cover it way better and way more elaborately than I can or that I care to, I guess. But having a firearm for defense primarily and other purposes as a secondary is very important. If you have the means to hunt, firearms, invaluable. But even in a pretty medium term sort of a breakdown of things, trouble's bound to rise in hopefully isolated areas, but maybe a lot more. We can just watch the news and see how quickly things start to unravel when there's not utilities and stocked grocery stores and gas at the gas stations. It can spring up pretty quickly. So the means to defend your home and your food and your water and everything else on this list, and most importantly, yourself and your family, that can't be taken lightly. So whatever your choice of firearm is, having one is better than having none. If you prefer rifles over pistols, if you prefer Glocks over SIGs, you can follow that rabbit hole a million miles deep. It's just important that you have one and that you know how to use it, you know how to clean it, you know how to maintain it, and you have a good supply of ammo for it as well, because it's not going to do any good if you don't restock your ammo after you shoot some. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what's on your top 10 list. I'd be interested to see how other people's ideas of this sort of exercise differ from my own, and I'm sure, like everything else in the prepping world, I'll probably modify it and change it as time goes on, as I shift around my understanding of things and my priorities. So that's it. My top 10 prepping supplies for short to medium term. That's it. Until next time, this is Great Lakes Prepping.